Recording is this. That way, once we do it once, hopefully it's good for a very long time. Let me ask you this. Okay, so you work on projections, both of you guys work on projections from time to time. Okay.
I mean, just distributing to the revenue managers. That's what basically we get.
Got it. Okay, what are your questions right now about, wait, let's start with here. Do you have any questions, like in general, that you have about how to set up a projection and dynamic pricing? We'll start with that first.
Yeah, I think for me, my main question would be like, let's pretend I don't really know about dynamic pricing, like at all. So I want you to kind of explain to me in a very light manner, so that way I can actually understand when I actually pitch into the owners. And like dynamic pricing is not all about like robbing price.
Okay. How to? Okay, if I don't know about DP, how to explain to owners? Yeah. Okay, what's your question?
Actually about the number, because as I know, dynamic pricing is also following the booking heat map. But I mean the exact number. You know, we put this number at this day and another.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions?
Can we add up later?
Yes, absolutely. Let's do that. Let's go a step, take a question, and then move a step forward. All right, so let's start with this question with what you want to ask first. It's actually a little bit easier to explain. How to determine the numbers, exact numbers. Okay, the first direction I want to point you into is this is a probability event. So what do I mean by that? Are you guys familiar with the concept of probability? Okay, let's say for example, right? Do you have a coin? Here.
Yeah, here.
All right, you have a coin, right? So I'm coining right here. So you flip the coin, right? How many sides are there on the coin? There's two sides. Okay, so if I flip the coin, it's the eagle. Okay, if I flip it again, it's the bird. Okay, and it's the eagle. So I flipped 3 times. The eagle showed up 2 times, and the bird showed up 1. So the probability of seeing this is 1 out of 3. The probability of seeing this is 2 out of 3. So why do we talk about this? So when we talk about pricing, we're talking about probability. We're talking about how likely am I to sell my my night. Okay, that's what we're talking about. So that's essentially the probability of sale. What do you think is related to the probability of sale? What improves your probability of getting a sale?
What improves? The inventory?
Yes, you're right. The availability. So if the calendar is very available, then you're more likely to get a sale. If the calendar's all fully blocked, then there's no likely to get a sale on that night. What else improves the probability of a sale?
How close is the date?
Okay, the runway.
The runway.
Okay, long runways or short runways improve the probability of sale?
Of course, a long runway.
Yes. Okay. A runway is how much time you have to sell that room. So if I have only 1 day to sell tomorrow, let's say for example, Rumah Pertama, right? It's empty tomorrow. I only have 1 day to sell it. So it's going to be harder for me to sell. But I have 1 year to sell it. You have 2 years to sell it. You have 10 years to sell it. And I have a large probability of selling because I just have so much time on my hands to sell it.
Right.
Okay? All right. So that's kind of like the long and short of it. Okay. What else improves the probability of actually selling a room night?
Right. Okay. Price?
Yes. Okay. Low price or high price?
Lower price.
Yes, of course. A lower price automatically makes you far more desirable to a lot of people. So if you have a price that's high, of course, everyone knows that, right? If that bang bang costs twice as much, would you still buy it? If it costs 5,000 more, would you still buy it? If it's free, you would just take it, right? And you take unlimited amounts of it. So a low price increases the probability of sale. Okay.
Gap night?
What?
What about gap night?
Gap nights. Okay, gap nights. Is that easier to sell or is it? Gap nights is actually kind of interesting. Are you familiar with the idea of gap nights?
Which means like
the nights between two bookings, right? So gap nights are actually what? They are a constriction of what? They're a restriction of your, starts with an A, It's an availability issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a gap night shows that essentially gap nights are hard to sell because you don't have the days before, you don't have the days after. You just have those specific dates. So those specific dates then become more painful to actually sell.
So we're basically like it's hard for us to sell those
Exactly. Exactly. It's hard to sell a gap night. If you want to know why, think about this, right? Think about if you go on Airbnb.com. What do you actually search for? What are you putting in? You only have, okay, you're putting in dates, right? Okay, you're putting in a location and you're putting in check-in dates and putting in the number of guests.
Yeah.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is a key, right? This key fits into certain locks. So if you put a date, and let's say the explanation I always put was this. Let me show you a calendar here. I'll show you a calendar that I'm working on right now in revenue management, maybe. I don't have it. Okay, all right, sorry about that. Okay, let's go over here. Let's say, for example, let's not go into gap nights too much, but that can be distracting. Let's talk about, back up to the main picture again.
Right.
Let's talk about cons. What reduces the probability of a sale? Just the opposite.
The opposite.
Short run, yeah, right. So no availability. Okay. Short runways.
High, definitely like
High price.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There's one more thing. There's one more thing that we can do to actually sort of improve the situation. We can improve the traffic, right?
The traffic.
The traffic meaning how many times actually people see this particular listing.
Okay.
So high
visibility.
traffic. Yes, visibility. High visibility improves the percentage of times that if it's more visible, then more people see it. More people see it, then some of those people will actually book it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's invisible, then nobody will see it. So if you get low traffic, then essentially, there's nothing you can do. Okay, there's another thing that actually you can that we know, but okay, this is also the location. If the location is desirable, then that improves the pros. If the location is not desirable, then that is a con. Okay. Yes, go ahead. Your question.
Yeah, this one is basically. I'm pretty sure this is an external factor, right? That when it comes to location.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
I'll get to that. Yeah. This is location an external factor? Yes, it is. It is a factor that you can't really change, and that gets to the point of what the lead up is to.
Hardware.
Right. You can't really change the hardware. You can't just pack up your villa and move somewhere else. Now, if you had an airplane or a ship, you could do that, right? If the airplane isn't getting any business in Jakarta, you can move your airplane to somewhere else in the world and then start getting business. But unfortunately, we are dealing with fixed assets here, so these things don't move. The other concept I want to bring up is the idea of a booking window.
Okay.
So are you familiar with the concept of a booking window? Okay, a booking window is generally how much time do people make between the decision and the arrival. So they book, let's say today, but when do they actually want to use the property? So let's say, for example, you're going for dinner, right?
Okay.
If you order a Gojek, you can probably just book whenever you want and it shows up in 5 minutes. But if you're going to take like your date to the best restaurant in Indonesia or whatever, you generally have to have a booking window, you know? So Michelin star restaurants, they have booking windows of a year, 2 years, whatnot. How does this relate to us? Do you think the booking window of a large property, like a 5-bedroom villa, has the same booking window as a small property like a guest house?
I don't think so.
You don't think why?
Villa, I mean, people think sometimes twice to book a villa, but
yeah.
I guess house is like, just because it's like a lower price than the villa.
Exactly. So it's a lower price.
People who book a villa, it's a group family, they have reason behind to book a villa.
Very good. Okay, so the idea is the price and also the size of the group. When you have more people, do you need shorter times to make a decision or longer times to make a decision?
Longer.
Exactly.
Yes.
So if you have a group, generally you're going to have a longer booking window. So is a booking window a pro or a con?
Is
Depends on the property.
Okay. No. A booking window is a long booking window. Is it a pro or a con?
Long booking window.
It's a con.
Yes, it's generally a con. And a short booking. Okay. Short, so that makes a short booking window a pro. All right. So this is a con. It's also this. It's the ratio of your runway to your booking window that really matters. So this idea is your runway divided by your booking window. Let's say, for example, you're a guest house. People generally book a day before or on the same day.
Yeah.
Well, if you're still empty today, you still have a pretty good chance that somebody will book it.
Yeah.
But what if you're like a 15-bedroom villa and you're empty today?
Really hard.
Right, because nobody's just going to walk up and say, I need a 15-bedroom villa today.
Right.
They probably need some time. So this is actually related to what we're going to get to next,
You can
right?
use it for pitching actually.
You can use it for pitching.
Yeah, sure.
Last minute pitching?
Huh?
Oh, you can use this for pitching, right?
Yes,
that's what you say.
book
Oh,
is-
yeah. That's the point I'm getting to. That's the point I'm getting to. Okay, so the idea of this is all about probability. What increases the probability of sale? What decreases the probability of sale? You also have other. These are very personal factors. These are related to the exact property. You have general factors too. You have things like, oh, is there more tourism in Indonesia? Is Bali a better destination now? But generally, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because that applies to everybody. Any sort of disaster like an earthquake or a volcano, that applies to everybody.
Right.
Any sort of benefit like more inbound flights to Bali, that applies to everybody as well. So what you're trying to do is you're not trying to be as good as everyone else. You're trying to lead them. So what you're looking at are the distinct factors related to that specific property to get this done. Okay, does this make sense now?
Yeah, okay.
So these are the important factors, and we need to focus on these. All right, so let's go down and see what we do. For availability, what term on our MOU helps availability?
I think the new current one,
Yeah.
which is like the owner only
The
can use
owner.
like
Owner restricted use. What else affects availability?
That they cannot be a competitor.
Exclusive. Okay. What else affects availability?
What else? The
Priority
A priority for what?
for our guests.
but
Yes, that's an inclusive. Yeah.
Yeah.
their what is it called? Like their readiness of the profit. Like
Yeah,
the
readiness.
on-site stuff, yeah,
Okay,
then-
to serve, right?
Yeah.
So how quickly they can turn over.
Yeah,
Right.
like
So if they
for
take
back
2
to back.
days.
Yeah.
They can take back to back. Very good. Very good. Excellent. What else affects the availability? Separation of OTAs. Right. We ask for control of all the OTAs because we need to keep each OTA separate. When one OTA fights another OTA on the same room, then the availability on both OTAs
For a
is
guest
bad.
house.
Yes, like on a guest house. So when you have the Airbnbs compete with the Booking.coms on the same room, then no channel can actually have good availability. This channel you have 50% availability. This channel you have 50% availability. So you're a half-ass on both channels. On both channels, when somebody goes to look for you, they're 50% unlikely to find you. But if you have full access on each channel, then you can grow on each channel.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Next question.
Then is it better to just kind of like use it one then, rather than two? For example, like if it's
Yes, and that's the idea. We always want to win on Airbnb, and there's a strategic reason for that. Airbnb is something we're good at. We can win anytime if there's a lot of Airbnbs in an area. But if everyone's on Booking.com, then we are just a flat player, just like anybody else. So there's no essential way to lead it. I guess our core sort of secret here is we know Airbnb better than almost anybody else in the world, right?
Yeah.
And so we're able to optimize this platform really well. So yes, use one if possible, but for certain situations like multiple rooms in a guest house, it won't be enough to use Airbnb.
okay, yeah.
But you need to get at least control over the other platforms so that you have control over the availability.
Okay.
Okay? All right, great. So we know why we have availability. Runway. Is there anything in our contract that helps improve the runway?
Well, okay.
Dynamic pricing.
Yes, dynamic pricing. Okay, who does dynamic pricing?
Revenue.
Yes. What have we learned about revenue management, sir, this month? What have we learned about revenue management this month? Where did we fail last month and we learned this month we should do
The
the
strategy.
The target.
strategy? And what is part of that strategy to get revenue?
Observation. No.
Okay, let's go up.
For the old partner, we didn't have so much dynamic pricing.
Yes, but okay. All right, this is the point I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
We failed last month because we began so late, right? We began late and you have less runway when you begin late. If I start looking at, let's say, prices of properties that are just a week away, then I don't have much runway. But if I look at prices of properties that are now in August and September, really far away, then I've increased my runway, right? I'm looking way into the future. I'm considering, okay, I'm gonna give myself as much runway as possible. So remember the chi-square thing?
Yes.
Okay, chi-square says that you're not gonna get an equal amount of revenue per month. You get the most revenue in
the first week.
the first week, thank you. So if you want to get that revenue the first week, when should you start considering it? In the week of the first? No, you need to consider it in, like we need to consider now of August revenue in July, right? So that's essentially a way for revenue management to assist market building on getting more runway, right? So revenue management needs to plan into the future, like probably 3 to 4, 5 weeks ahead.
So that means this is like the projection that we use.
Yes. This is not really the projection, but this is just a relationship that you have with revenue management. And know that revenue management needs to essentially have this in order to be able to increase the probability of selling in that room.
Oh.
Yeah.
But what is our part as a market builder?
Oh, yeah. Your part is, I guess, just give us that runway. If we have that runway, then we're good. In terms of market building, I don't think there's too much. If you give us availability, then we have the runway, right? So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's talk about pricing. Right, pricing. Okay, pricing will leave to last. Traffic. Now, this is a recursive condition. So, what do you think leads to traffic? What can market builders lead to traffic? What do you think brings traffic?
It's in the content side.
Very much so. It's on content for certain measurements. Okay, I won't go into too much about this, but content has this metric. It's called the click-through rate, right?
Yes.
You know what that means, right?
Not really, but I think I've kind of read it.
Click-through rate means, let's say, for example, you see 100 pictures on a page, and this one picture keeps on getting clicked, right?
Yeah, okay.
So that click-through rate is really high. It means everybody who sees these 100 pictures, they always seem to click on this picture. Content can help you get a click onto the listing through a higher CTR by usually choosing more attractive hero photo, by getting like the title well, by getting the price right, right? These are all things that directs you to more traffic. Generally, revenue managers are looking at this thing called the booking pace. What is the booking pace of our company in the past few days?
It's 100.
100, yes. So booking pace indicates overall health of that particular property. Indicates that you are ranking, you are being seen, and that's why people are booking you. So that's a good sign. So content's assisting market building by getting a high CTR. Revenue management's assisting by looking at the booking pace as one of our primary metrics. In terms of what a market builder can do to get us traffic, I guess this is where the third thing comes in, location. So on Airbnb, there are locations that are more desirable, such that, like this, when you go and you think of furniture, what city do you think of when you think of furniture?
It's
in Indonesia.
Jepara.
Jepara.
Yeah.
Why do you think of that?
Because that's one of the most, the one that actually produces a lot of like
That's
furniture.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the same thing when it comes to tourism too as well. There's
Right.
certain locations that are definitely more desirable for tourism than other locations. This is true about almost everything in the world, right? You go to, let's say, Jogja or Bandung for college, you don't go to like Labuan Bajo for college, right? There's just no culture of that there. So location is very important, and that's something that I guess as a market builder, this is what we're trying to feed you more information on. Over time, you will get an intuition of which locations are doing better. And generally,
one thing actually,
what?
you show me how to zoom out the map of Bali, and then you're gonna see which area is the most popular
Yes.
in the map.
You can also do this. You can check out the booking pace and zoom in onto the squad, and you can see which area of that. We don't have this figure yet, but if you could actually see not just the squad but also the location, you can then see, for example, well, this is very clear. If you look at, let's say, squad one's booking pace, right? It's getting like 20 bookings, 30 bookings a day.
Right.
If you didn't check that out against Jogja, it's like far less, right? So you know that Jogja is far less active as a location in terms of its desirability than Bali in Squad 1. But then if you look at, let's say, Squad 2, you'll find that it's actually doing even better. It's getting around 40, 50.
Okay, yeah.
So Squad 2 is a very high booking pace location, right? Not revenue, but just booking pace. It means more things are being booked more often. So that's related to that. Okay, so your location has something to do with what we call heat. It's like a heat map. You guys have seen the map of, let's say, our guest profiles. Well, guests actually see you the same way too, as well. Okay. Your location is hot to them if it's like the reverse, right? Bali looks really hot to them, and other countries look a little bit less hot. So this is an important consideration. You choose which partnerships you want to engage in. You think about like what is the desirability of that location, and your success is generally also reflected on your choice, where you choose to do your marketing activities. Okay, so that's location, traffic, and booking window. All right, booking window is pretty simple. What is the general rule for booking window?
General rule?
Mm-hmm.
I cannot think of it right now.
Okay. Larger properties have bigger booking windows.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because like you and Yuan both agree. One is price. Larger properties generally have a higher price, and they have more capacity, so there's more decision makers. So more decision makers generally mean you have to plan ahead. It's hard to go and say, hey, 10 buddies, let's go today and go to Bali because we're all not doing anything this weekend, so let's go. No, I got plans, you know, but if it's just you and your girlfriend, then it can go quickly. If it's just you, you're just like, yeah, I want to go. So usually the larger properties, the bigger booking windows, and also expensive properties tend to have larger booking windows. Like think about one of the most expensive events of your life. It's generally like your wedding, right? Very few people will just make a wedding like without thinking, oh, I'll make it tomorrow, so I'm ready to go. So usually the more expensive the property, the larger the booking window. Okay, so where does this come in? Part of it is what you know. Part of it is what the owner knows. Okay, so does this help kind of clarify the considerations around how to choose a pricing? So here's the ultimate thing that owners must know, that it's not really about there is an exact price. It is simply like a probability, right? If I put this as, let's say, this price, then there is a higher probability that you will get a booking. Or if I'm able to influence the traffic and get you higher amount of booking pace, I can do this, right? So, okay, I'll explain that a little bit more, but what I ultimately mean is that there is no exact right price, because what happens is it gets booked, you'll never know. Could somebody would have paid more for that? Maybe. If it's empty, if you had lowered it by 50,000, would that ever have sold? Maybe. You can't really see that. So the only thing you can really say is that I'm improving the chances of you getting a booking. Okay. It doesn't mean ever if I give you that price, you will get a booking, because there's a lot of factors that are not here, and they do affect people's decisions.
Okay, so there's really no formula to actually get.
There's no exact formula. That's what I'm saying. It's a probability, right? Can you predict if this is going to be heads or tails next? Right?
Of course not. Yeah.
Of course not. Right? But let's say you have 6 sides on a dice. Can you predict what number it's going to be? You don't. But you can predict that if you roll it enough times, it'll show up. Let's say this side 1 out of every 2 times, right? If you roll a dice which has 6 sides, you can say that it's going to be landing on the 3 1 out of every 6 times, over enough times, right? Do you feel good about that, or is it kind of weird you out?
Is this thing like our data, you mean?
It's saying that the data has only like a certain limitation. It has it can get you there, it can define things, but there are still things that are undefinable, right? So it doesn't mean that, okay, it's a difference between, let's say, knowing the risk and not knowing the risk at all. Let's say, for example, if you were to gamble, right, $100, and you had to gamble $100 on either predicting the flip of a coin or the roll of a dice, which would you gamble on?
Roll of the dice?
No. Okay, you have to gamble $100, right? You have to get it right. All right, if you get it right, you get $100. If you lose $100. Now, would you rather gamble on flipping a coin and deciding if it's heads or tails, or rolling a dice and deciding if it's 1, 2, 3? Sorry, the coin, right? Why?
Because it's like the probability like really
50-50, right? The probability of the dice is 1 out of 6. That's lower chances that you're going to get it right. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about reducing risk. We're reducing the risk of you having an empty villa being completely unoccupied because you don't understand what kind of risk situation you are facing right now. This is always a probability because of other things too. People's moods, right? So maybe I'm in the mood I want to book this because of whatever. I like the color, or I'm happy today, so I booked it. And you couldn't account for that. How would you know, right? Weather. Maybe today had a surf event, and the surf was especially good, and so a lot of people started booking. How could you have predicted that beforehand? Maybe there's a volcano. Everyone doesn't book. How could you have predicted that? You can't.
No.
So all we're talking about is essentially probability. We're talking about what improves your visibility and what brings it down. Most things in life that are sort of complicated are always probabilities. Like how long does it take to hire a new candidate? Right? Don't know. Right? It really depends. How long before people get their first promotion? Don't know. It depends. Right? So these things are pretty realistic, and that's, I think, the first thing that an owner must know, that it is just a probability. I'm bringing you a probability, but at least I am, how do you say, I'm able to manage your risk if I give a probability.
Okay.
You won't make those stupid decisions of betting it on a die. You at least will bet on the right side. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So then the other question is there any other control that we have besides pricing on how to sell a property?
Yeah.
Certainly are. So we can pick the location well. That's probably the most control you have. If you pick in a location that's popular, that has bookings every day, then most likely the owner will say, you get bookings right away. But maybe the owner knows that already, right? So then there's no benefit to that. Okay, you can ask your revenue management team to plan things in the future, but what are they planning for? They're planning to get these things sold at the right price 2-3 months from right now. So once again, we're really talking about adjusting prices again, right?
Okay.
To get you a larger runway. If we're talking about a booking window, that's usually built into the property. So, okay, if you have a larger property, you just need to know that it takes more time to get a sale. And also, if you don't have a sale, you need to take much more drastic action if you're already within the booking window. So, let's say, for example, if I have a guest house and it's unsold tomorrow, I might not be in an urgent way to discount it. But if I have a 15-bedroom villa, it's $1,000. If I don't sell it for, like, let's say $200, nobody will buy it, right? I have to take a pretty sharp dip down to get it sold. So once again, that comes to a pricing issue. Let's go on this side. I just want you guys to pretend you're a guest. Okay, so guest behavior. What do you think are the two most important considerations that guests think about when they determine?
If I were a guest, yeah.
If you were a guest, what are the two most
For
important?
me, it's price and location.
Price and location. Do you agree with that, Yuan?
Location.
Okay. And what's the second factor?
Yeah, price.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Can you change the location?
Can I change the location?
Yeah. No. Can you, as the owner now, change your location?
No.
So the only thing you really have control over, yes, is the price. The really thing that you have only control over is the price. This is what makes this whole thing very simple, and it's also what makes it very frustrating too. So without, okay, you have, other consideration too. Let's say some people are very amenity driven. Okay, some people are maybe very,
Design.
design. But usually this only occurs on something at the same budget range, right?
Yeah.
So if it's the same budget, I'll pick the one with the better design. But if the better design costs 6 times more, maybe I'll give it a pass. Casablanca, for example, right? So,
What about type?
time.
Type of property.
Yes. Okay. Fit. What do you mean by type? Like size?
In terms of like, cause
Design?
we have like a villa, guest houses, and like.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, okay. So size, and I would say that's a fit for the occasion fit. Yeah. You're probably gonna do something different for the occasion. You probably might book something different if you're with your family, than with your friends, than with your whatever. So that fit is also fairly important. But once again, can we change that as an owner?
No.
A little bit.
Yeah.
You can go from it, say a multi-bedroom villa, and just sell it individually, right? That's one way. Yeah. So you can kind of toy around with the fit again, but there's not too much you can do. Okay. So when you get up to an owner, you can kind of boil down the discussion just to price, right? You can boil down the discussion to price, and this is where you can move in next. You can say, do you really care about price, or do you really just care about your revenue, right?
In reality?
Yes. Do you care about the price or do you care about the revenue?
For me, of course, revenue, but in reality, sometimes
they say talk about price.
Yeah.
Usually they think about price because they don't understand what they're actually looking at. And this goes back to the train station example,
They never
right?
zoom out.
Yeah, they don't zoom out. Really, if you ask any owner, and believe me, because most owners have this magic word that they love hearing, it's called return on investment, right?
Wow.
So it's a return on investment. What they're thinking mistakenly is that the return on investment is just simply the price times 365, right? So I just take this price and multiply it by 365 and I get my magic return on investment.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, right? And this is an interesting question. Let's say you have a train station, and this is just to show an example, right? How many tickets can you sell from a train station going to A to B? One, okay. And how many train tickets can you sell on a train station going from A to B to C? Oh, different kind of question now, right?
3, 4. No, 5. No,
Three?
Three.
Is
Okay,
it
there's
really?
three. A to B.
Oh, just
B
only
to
one.
C.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no going back, right? The reason will be later why, because time only flows one way, right? Okay. What about from A to B to C to D?
4.
No, more.
Why more?
1, 2, 3, right? 4, 5,
8.
6, 7. Oh, wait, 6, right?
I-
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Got it.
Okay, so there's 6 train tickets that you can sell. What if you go from A to B to C to D to E? Oh, sorry. It should be E.
10. No.
Okay. All right. Let's say it's 10.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a lot. Okay. So are each of these train tickets the same? Would you expect them to cost the same price?
Oh, of course not.
Right. You wouldn't expect them to cost the same price, right? At all. What's the difference between that and a check-in on July 19th to 20th? Right? You're selling one type of room accommodation there. What about a check-in from July 19th to 21st? Well, you're selling 3 types of products there, right? What about a check-in from July 19th to 22nd? Well, you're selling 6 types of products there, right? And what about July 19th to 23rd? Well, you're selling 10 different types of products there, right? So when you frame it this way, you start realizing, oh my God, it's not all the same, right? I'm not actually trying to sell just one price the same way throughout the entire year. Every train station is going to be a different location to a different location,
Right.
and there's a different price associated with that. And every length of the stay should have a different price associated with that. So all you need to kind of express to the owner is that it's not a unit measurement. It's not like take this night, multiply it by whatever, because that doesn't really work out. So then they go, oh wow, that looks so complicated. Yes, it is complicated, because this is not like selling peanuts. It's not like selling fish. If you sell one fish here, one fish there, the fish in the middle is the same price, right? But if you sell one night here, there's a gap, then that gap night already doesn't have the same availability. It doesn't have the same desirability. So that gets more complicated. So the essence of what they're actually doing is they're selling time. They're selling time, and this time is not equally valuable. December 31st, all over the world is much more valuable than November 11th in terms of a day to sell.
Okay.
That's seasonality. And that's also different if it's a December 31st to a January 5th or December 31st to January 1st. So there's all these different products actually from something that looks like a single product. Okay, so it's complex. There's a lot of things to think about. Don't need to think about that. Let us think about that, right? This is where the revenue management comes in. Get their agreement that all I really want to do at the end of the day is to sit back and be like a landlord. You're my virtual tenant. You tell me like what this should be, and you figure all these crazy prices out, and then just hit these revenue marks, right? So that's where they go, okay, all right, I believe that it is complicated. I see that it's not as simple as I thought. There's many different pricing things. And so then if we're getting to revenue, that simplifies a lot of things. Then we just talk about, if we're talking about revenue, what's your greatest risk?
Not hitting.
Not empty rooms is your
Sorry.
All right, your greatest risk is empty rooms, and this is where you can pull out the data and show them things like even in very popular areas where there's high occupancy, you might think, oh yeah, this place is doing really good. There's tons of occupancy. But even let's say something like lot 3, lot 6 that gets booked quite often, I think the occupancy is less than 40% still. And the reason why is because all these stupid little gap nights everywhere, right?
Yeah.
You know, you get all this leftover stuff. Where is it? Occupancy rate. So let's take a look. Let's limit down our occupancy to, let's say, pick a property.
Okay.
Rumah pertama, right?
Yeah.
Rumah pertama is over here. So Rumah pertama looks good. It's getting all this booked. It's doing really well. It's at 70% occupancy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's fantastic
Lot
for
5.
June and July. Okay, let's take a look at lot 5. Lot 5. Wait, it's called Olala, right? Okay, 74% occupancy. So it's doing
Already,
really well.
yeah.
Yeah. Look at that Chantik. What do you think Chantik is? What does it feel like?
What does it feel like?
What does it feel like?
It's going to be.
Yeah. What do you feel like is the occupancy in the past 30 days?
It's
It's good, right? What does good feel like? What's the number for good?
60.
Okay, 30, 60. I'm thinking it's actually closer to 25. Well, let's see.
Really?
Let's see what it is. Okay,
Yeah,
first
so
month it
it's
was 1%. Now it's 40%. Okay. All right, good. So now and this is peak season. All right, this is peak season. This is July. So peak season today is at 43%. That's great right now, but come around November, what's going to happen? Yeah, it's going to be low. So then your revenue risk then goes back to this, right? The greatest revenue risk is actually empty rooms. So then the question is, how will you avoid empty rooms? And this is where you increase the probability of sell. Okay, so back to these things, right? So we try to increase the runway, we try to increase the availability. This stuff is already set by you guys. If you guys come in with correct stuff, then the revenue managers can essentially take control and they can start generating revenue from this property. At the end of the day, judge us not by the price we sell, judge us by how much money we bring into you, right? And if, like, let's say, for example, you have Puerto Sabino right now, it's completely empty, and we're still having debates over whether we should sell at 400 or 350, right? Well, isn't the bigger question how you have 29 empty days and not about 50,000 of this particular sale?
Yeah.
The anxiety for most owners is, what if I only get very few sales and all of them are underpriced, right?
Exactly,
Then
yeah.
that's a terrible thing to happen. But that's not so risky because here. Okay, this is a little bit funny, but you guys know what a wealth pyramid looks like, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wealth pyramids look like pretty much all over the world is pretty much the same. There's a few people who have a lot of money, and most people have let's say a little bit less, right? So if you look at a wealth pyramid, that gives you an idea of what essentially you're doing. When you're lowering the price, you're getting much more people who actually can access your product, right? So if the majority of people, this is India, I don't know for whatever reason, but the idea is the same. That when you're lowering your prices, you're actually making your product more accessible exponentially to more people. So there's very few conditions where you lower the price and you just get a few sales at a low price. Generally what happens is you get a lot of sales that happen. Think of cigarettes, right? Coke. These things, they're not very expensive, but a lot of people buy them. Yeah, go ahead.
To what extent we can actually lower the price?
So that then becomes, I think, okay, all right, I'll give you an example of that. So remember here, let's say I'm dealing with a situation where this happens very often. I'm dealing with low traffic, right? I'm dealing with low traffic, I'm dealing with a long booking window, I have a short runway. So I gotta think about something. Oh, there's one more thing that magically comes in. This is the part where it gets kind of funny. It's to do with ranking. Okay, ranking. What do you think, actually, ranking is related to traffic, right?
Right.
What do you think affects ranking?
Good service? No?
Okay.
Occupancy.
No, not exactly
What
the
ranking?
occupancy. No, the ranking. How? Because everything is a ranking thing now.
Popular.
What affects how popular you get?
Uh,
How do you become popular on Airbnb?
click.
Visibility.
Okay. Yeah. That's a result of ranking. Okay. We get more visibility as a result of ranking. But what actually gets you higher ranking?
Reputation? No.
Sales gets you ranking.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Anytime you get a booking, you get a push up on the ranking. Anytime you don't get a booking, you get a push down. So this is related to your relationship with content, actually.
Okay.
So if you launch something and it doesn't get a booking quickly, you start sinking, right? So sales, plug, ranking, leaks. That's probably the best way to describe it. Sales, plug, ranking, leaks. Imagine this.
So the bookings, how many bookings?
Yes. That's why the only thing I look at every day is how many bookings do we get, right? Okay. These guys will tell you how obsessed I am about booking. Because if we don't have ranking, we don't have any discussion. There's no discussion about price. There's no discussion about anything because nobody sees your fucking property,
okay.
Right?
Yep.
So you need to think about how to get the ranking. Now, sales gets you ranking. Now, I can show you something that is pathetic. So I'll show you something that is pathetic. Stuff like here.
So
Yes, go ahead. Absolutely.
Because you say that you want to enlarge the guest. So this is not something for an owner who wants to be picky with the guests.
Yes. It's because you're reducing the availability. You're reducing the availability. If you're going to be very picky about your guests, then you're cutting off. Think about like the global chart that we have. If you say, I don't like Chinese people, I don't like Americans, I don't like Europeans, right? Well, then you're reducing the chance that you're going to get bookings from these particular areas. Let's say, for example, you just say, I don't like Europeans. Well, that, sir, is about 50% of your bookings. What you also don't know is, like, we gotten a lot of Filipinos recently, right? You can say, I don't like Filipinos. I don't want Filipinos to come into my place. But then what that does is it stops growth. It stops essentially this new affiliation with this new group of people to start growing. So instead of the Filipinos coming to you, which essentially push your prices up over time,
right,
then you're reducing your availability to the total market size.
That's basically the answer. You're pretty good at that. Okay,
right.
Got it.
So if they cut off that and show them the map, you just say, okay, you see all these people who normally come? You're saying no to all those deals. So then when you get a lower price, there's a price consequence to that. If you say I'm going to be more restricted, more cancellation policy, more whatever, these things, there is a consequence, and the consequence is always on your price. Just think about it this way. It's like when you increase the amount if you increase the demand, the price will go up. But if you decrease the demand by making your policy very strict, by excluding certain groups of people, by getting negative reviews to your past guests, then essentially you're decreasing the pressure on this, and your price will never rise, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's sort of zoom back to this place, booking pace. When a place is, let's say, dead. Okay, so this is Village Antique. Village Antique, what does it look like on their booking pace?
It's good.
It's fucking amazing. Look, it's like out of control, right? It's rising. So you know it's getting ranked. You know people are seeing it, they're booking it. It's all of this good stuff. So what can you do if the booking pace is high?
Raise the price.
You can raise the price. You can raise the price because you have what?
The probability.
You have a higher probability of sale. So you have a lot of traffic. So maybe you can compromise. You can start trading these things, right? You can trade a con for a pro. Make sense?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's say you got a bunch of dirt in your pocket, so it's not worthless, right?
Oh, you can tell.
Yeah. So now let's say, for example, you have, let's say, high traffic. So maybe you can trade the low price for a high price now.
Okay.
Maybe like you have high traffic, so you can trade the short runway for a longer runway, right? Okay. So once you have a few of these things, you can then trade, and this is how you trade the price. If you have the conditions that you have too many cons going on, then your price can't go up. In fact, nothing can happen. This is how people kill themselves. I'll give you an example. What was the fucking one in Nusa Penida? It was like on call. On call, they come in, and we spend months trying to get their booking pace up, right? We get their booking pace up. They're coming into peak season, and we show them, hey, this has already happened before. You told us this price. We told you no. You insisted. Your traffic went down. You got no bookings. We then negotiated with you. We got the price low. Your traffic went up. You got more bookings. Now they came back again. And guess what they wanted to do? They wanted to raise the price again.
Yes.
I said, are you aware that your traffic is low right now? Are you aware that you have a long booking window, people are going to plan ahead, and you want to raise rates on tomorrow and the next days? So they said, yeah, I'm aware of that. I said, do you know what you're doing? They said, I know what I'm doing. I said, I don't think you know what you're doing. We're not going to do this for you. Because what this will mean is essentially we're going to have to go and rebuild all your listings after you fuck it up. Okay. So he said, you can do whatever you want, but we're going to pause your listings until you clarify this in your mind and figure out that. And then what's funny is this guy went back to tell his boss. We talked to his boss too. His boss told us to ignore this guy, right? Just keep on doing what you're doing. Because that's what effectively looks dumb, right? Mm-hmm. They have a short runway. They had no availability. They had actually a lot of availability, but a short runway. They had a low price, but they want to change it to a high price. They had low traffic. Their location is very far away from everything, and their booking window is actually fairly long. So when you do that, and then you raise the price, you've effectively reduced your probability of sale down to like a critical low level. Right. And so then you've reduced your revenue now to a very high level of empty rooms.
You don't have anything, but you want control.
Right. And this is your death spiral. This is usually what I call a death spiral because this is negative going to negative. So then you're empty and you go, wow, I wasted all that time. My entire month is empty. So what do? I raise the price for the next month. And then you keep on doing that a few times, and then you don't face reality. You fire the next person who tells you you're doing the wrong thing, and then you empty with this empty hotel. And you're like, this is killing me now. Now I have to pay for everything with my own money instead of with my guest money. Okay. So you gotta also drive that part in, right? That you go from an asset to a liability, then to a total loss, right? So you might think you're cool, you have this cool like villa over here, but it's worth $1 million. But okay, all right, keep on running it like the way you do. Now every month you pay $5,000 in terms of operations and everything to it, and it doesn't take very long before you spend $60,000. You're in the hole. The value of the property goes down because nobody's staying in it. It looks like shit. The staff don't want to clean it. They think that they're getting a salary to do nothing, and they don't change. And so it's so easy to go into that balance. And so that's essentially how like revenue management dynamic pricing looks at it. If you want to get a high price, there's very simple things you can do. Get rankings, right? Mm-hmm. Get sales. What else drives the traffic higher? What gets higher traffic?
This is for the exclusive one, right?
No, this is for any property, right? But we only talk exclusive now, so there is no other discussion whether exclusive or not. What drives higher traffic?
Review.
Very good. Reviews, yeah, reviews.
So basically reputation then.
Yes. Reviews on two things, right? One is the unit, and the other is the area. There is always a review for the area. Now, how did Japara become Japara? Because a lot of people noticed that whenever Japara produced a piece of furniture, it was a good piece of furniture. Yeah. So that location got higher and higher reviews just in word of mouth to become what it is. Now, you want the same to happen for, let's say, Villa Chantik. That's in an area that has maybe no value to the casual observer, but if you frame it right, if the content frames it right, if you guys make sure that the owner does a good job making sure that the guests are fully happy and they understand where they are and they know they're in a 5-star neighborhood next to Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons and whatnot. If they give that location a 5-star review, then every day your likelihood of that thing being seen is going to be higher. Okay. The first filter on Airbnb is on location. The second filter is the unit. Yes, the unit. So you need to win the area. Sometimes you can borrow that from, let's say, a Seminyak. You know, Villa Ara is already in a great area. You just put it right there. Mm-hmm. But usually the owner already knows that, so they don't value like, okay, what do I need you for, right? Mm-hmm. Claire, want to use the Sunrise Village, Green Village. But if you found something like Villa Chantik, and it is in a new area, it's potentially valuable. That could be a gold mine for you. All right, so you can build that up. Okay. All right, so does that make sense now? It's all about, okay. So really what it comes down to is this single idea. All right, whatever you do, you need to think as an owner about ranking because that's our secret sauce. If you get ranking, then there is discussion about price. If you have no ranking, nobody sees your price anyway. You're at the bottom. You're like H&M. You're at the back of the store somewhere in some corner selling your jacket for $500, but nobody even sees that. And H&M puts you at the back because they see that nobody's ever bought that before. Right. So why should they give you good floor space at the front? They put you all the way at the back, and then occasionally maybe some idiot will come by and be like, okay, all right, I'll pay $500 for this thing at the bottom. No, fuck no, right? Something wrong with this place. The only time that that thing ever gets bought is when everything else is gone. All right, and then it's like between, oh, I've got to stay at Four Seasons or this overpriced villa. Okay, all right, these are the only two things left, right?
Okay.
So, so that goes into consideration about dynamic pricing.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So in the event that like we know that the location is not really good, but the product is good.
Yes. Okay.
No, it's the same with Chanti, but like for example, like the location is not really good. What I mean is it's just really far. But the product, which is the property, is it's good.
Yes.
And the price is also good.
And that takes just time.
And that's not really getting any. What do you say on
Okay,
that?
we've had a few cases like that. The Alchemist is like that. Villa Chantik is like that. Airbnb, I think, is very, 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 very forgiving in terms of location. Because one, the general demographic that goes on Airbnb is fairly adventurous. They can kind of find their own way. There are things like bubble hotels on the beach in Yangyang.
Oh yeah,
right?
I knew that.
All right.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to walk down 300 stairs to get there and walk up.
But they're
300
getting
to get-
booked though because of the unique.
Yes, exactly. So in that sense, in terms on Airbnb, you are more forgiven for being unique than any other thing. Like on Booking.com, that would never work because Booking.com would never sell that thing because people would be like, what the fuck is that, right? So I think Airbnb is also conditioned a certain type of ethos in the traveler to seek new experiences, right? Experience first, and travel is a way of consuming an experience. So in that particular regard, I've seen success with, let's say, Villa Chantik. I think success with Lot 5. Lot 5 was in a very underpowered area. And used to do is like, it's like dying.
I went
So,
there.
what are you gonna do in this? Is a good question. And this is where are you gonna go for a drink? Everything's a hotel bar. They charge 20%, and they're not sexy. You hang out with a bunch of old people, right? Where are you gonna go eat? Same thing. Bunch of old people, 20%. These gigantic impersonal dining spaces. So as an area, it didn't do very well. But Villa Lot 5 was amazing in terms of its design. It was so beautiful. It's so architectural digest. So that does win if it's at the right price. You gotta lure them in. You gotta get people to start giving 5-star reviews for the location, and then that brings up that entire thing. We got people at La Jolla View in the very beginning on a really good price, right? So that design was amazing. That location was dog shit. Actually, it wasn't entirely dog shit, but it was a difficult location. But what I know, I won't go into that part, but yeah, like locations can be built. Let's just put it this way.
Okay.
It happens all the time. Developers go and they find some empty piece of land and a rice paddy.
Oh yeah.
Build Deus, and then all of a sudden,
It's
it's the coolest place in the world, right? So yeah, it has to be that you need to cooperate with the owners and cooperate with your community and your host to really drive that value of the location. Guests need to understand why they're going there. Copywriting has a lot to do with it. Photography has a lot to do with it. Showing the neighborhood has a lot to do with that.
I have another question.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So we get it that at this point we're gonna have to focus on the revenue wise. Like we need to tell that to the owner.
Yeah.
But in the events that like owner just kind of like try to ask and then like how much you actually sell for a night, for example.
Right. Okay.
Like,
If you
like,
get
how
down
we
to
gonna
it,
answer that?
I would say we sell per night in order to have you have. Okay, this is also thinking about this way, right? Do you want sustainable, or you see how I'm avoiding the question? Sustainable or temporary income? Okay.
And then you die.
Right. So, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer to get an occasional like hit, or do you like have a sustainable? So, what does sustainable mean? Sustainable ultimately means you need to protect your ranking, right? You need to protect your ranking. Meaning, yeah, look, if I haven't sold anything, and revenue managers do this, if I see something that's dead, I always contact the owner and say, hey, look, we need to do something to get this pumped up again, like with Reset, right? If you let this just sit here, it's going to die. So this is the only way to actually have sustainable income. You need to be always visible, always getting booked, and that protects your ranking.
Okay.
So yeah, if you haven't gotten a booking in a while and your ranking is shit, then I think we need to have a discussion about what we need to sell in order to start bringing your ranking up, like what we did for Sabina. Yes, these are going to be very cheap prices. Yes, they're going to be like disgusting. Maybe you'll be, but you know what? It is not unusual for properties to give promotions, right? It is not unusual for hotels to give free room stays, right? That's zero. That's a cost of zero to an influencer who might or might not bring you a day's worth of traffic. It might or might not be unusual. So if you think about this, you're sort of managing their marketing budget.
Right. Okay.
So this is another thing. You could say it's your budget for promotions.
Or do we have to know like their operational cost though? That's like.
Tell you what, if you give them a projection and they nod and they say this is good,
okay.
that means they've already accepted that your revenue outweighs their operational cost.
Okay, good.
Ideally, you should. If you get more experience, ideally you should, so that you know you can call bullshit. A lot of people will bullshit you. They say, "Oh, the costs are so high," and blah 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 blah. It's all this crap.
Yeah, that should be like like a proper question to ask, like how much is your operational cost?
Yeah, how much is your operational cost, right? Tell me,
like,
so that I can plan.
Conventionally, yeah. Okay.
If you know 2 factors, you can actually be very, very persuasive. You know how much they paid to buy the property and how much it costs to run the property.
To pay, okay.
Yeah. Because if you know how much they paid, you just need to know this. If you can offer better than 10% return on investment for that, say they paid $2 billion. So you can offer, let's say, $200 million a year of rentals. That's pretty good. If they can net that, they will be like, yeah, that's way better than keeping it in the bank. I don't get 10% in the bank, and then my principal doesn't go up either. I keep the villa, I get $200 million, and my villa goes up in value. I'm in, right? No investor needs any sort of explanation beyond that. But if you don't know, then you get caught in their web, right? They might just say not good enough, and you go, well, if they say not good, I would love you guys to have this discussion. This would be a very high quality discussion. They go, I don't think your revenue projections are good enough. Then you go, well, what do you have in mind?
If
they say that, then you are moving to the next level. If they are asking you about what is the lowest daily rate that I can get, essentially we're buffering that.
Yeah.
The idea is that we will buffer that. If you're not happy with your revenue, then fire us after 3 months, right? Just say, let us go after 3 months, because trust me, it could be their property sucks too, right? If they don't get any revenue in 3 months.
Got it. Sir, so we do have a car values in transparency, right?
Yeah.
So owner, when we got booking, owners definitely know the price.
Yes, they know the price.
So
yeah.
definitely that's something that they always
Yeah. So if they ask about that, just direct those questions to me or write those questions down in the observations and improvements. I very rarely make random decisions about how to price a property. I'm usually looking at, let's say, all future revenue managers will look at these considerations, right? If I see that the cons have built up too much, then we'll try to put in some pros to fix that. I can't really see revenue manager, I don't really have too much control over anything besides the price, right? I cannot get you more traffic if I don't get you more sales.
Right.
How do I get you more sales if everything else is the same? I need a promotion. I need a promotion. This promotion will help activate new sales. Generally, I start, this is okay. In the asking your question, when is too low? How do we price? Let's say we have a situation, right? And the situation is that the not getting booked often and low ranking possibility, right? There's a possibility that we have low ranking. Generally, I will sell last minute rates, last minute room nights at, let's say, 40% discount, right? Why? Because look, tomorrow you're gonna get 0 for those rooms. Tomorrow you're gonna get 0, right? So yeah. You might be unhappy that you got less than what you expected, but tomorrow you're gonna get 0, and the next day you're gonna get 0 again, and so on and so forth. How many days do you want to get 0? But what I can do is I can get you this room night sold at 40% off. Then tomorrow I look back again. I can get you the next day maybe at 30% off.
Oh, so slowly
start bringing you back, because you need to get a booking to get ranking. If you're not booked, you're dead. You're buried under 50 piles of shit, right? So I need to start essentially just getting you some oxygen. Maybe you don't get a full breath of air, but at least you get some oxygen to sort of bubble you back up again.
Sir, is this in general or is this for Airbnb only metrics for
this works in general on every platform. The reason why platforms spend a shitload of money getting traffic to their site. They have to decide which products need to be positioned in front of which customers in order to sell. If the customer comes to the platform and doesn't buy, then the platform just wasted $6 on you. Okay? So the platform needs to have sales. In order for the platform to promote you, they need to see that you sell. And if you don't sell, you go all the way to the end of the line after everyone else gets a sale, and that's it. A Google ad click on the word like hotel travel or hotel Bali costs like I think $5. So if somebody clicks on that and they don't book, it's just like you know somebody at Booking.com gets their head cut off for that, right? So Booking.com has like 1,000 people working on 1,000 experiments. Everybody sees a different version of Booking.com every day. What they're looking for is how do I design a website? How do I rank things? How do I color the thing? How do I do all this shit such that people book? They don't walk in, walk out, don't book. They need you to book because every person who comes in pays $5 in. And if they don't book, then that's $5 wasted. Right? So every platform does the same. The platforms pay money to send you photos. You think those photos are free? No. The photos, they cost money. The platforms have to pay the content distributors to send this over to you. Yeah, okay. So the philosophy is very much the same across all different platforms. You need to sell. You need to get ranking. Ranking is your first, look, you need to get ranking in order to avoid revenue risk. And in order to preserve ranking, you need to sell. So whatever it takes to sell. Now, there's only 2 cycles in this. This is the weird part. There's only 2 cycles. There's the virtuous cycle and there's the catastrophic cycle. So where we have to be very, very decisive is you need to get yourself on the virtuous cycle. The virtuous cycle is you get a booking today, you get a booking tomorrow, you get a booking the next day, you raise your prices a little bit at a time, you still get bookings, which is good. If you don't get bookings, you need to reconsider your price shift, right? You keep on doing this and you get bookings every day, you stay high, you add in more features, you upgrade it, you make it look better, you do all this stuff, you add floating breakfast, you do all this stuff, the guests are happy, they write 10-star reviews, and naturally, of course, you become rare, you become different. You become something that everybody sees and everybody desires, and the price goes up. Until somebody else does the same, right? And then when somebody else does the same, then they take away, you know, interest from you, and now you're competing again. It's like a beauty pageant. Sorry.
One or two?
Batagor.
Two. One.
Okay.
Sorry.
In terms of this, does this okay? Do you have any other questions regarding this?
I'd like to just continue.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Let me. The next thing I can do for you guys is this. We'll go over to that computer over there because we have a little bit more bandwidth, and I'll mute this out for the moment, and I'll show you actually how I make revenue management decisions. All right. Okay. And perhaps this will be helpful. So I'll turn off this camera. Turn off this. We'll go over here. Okay. All right. Here we go again. Okay. Yeah, we're just checking this out, right? Cigarettes versus vaping. Vaping is taking off like crazy right now. You see that? Yeah. Google Trends. Okay. So we don't need this anymore. I'll zoom straight. Okay. This is done. Okay. Where's my dashboard? Oh, I don't have a dashboard. So sorry. Need to rebuild this again. Okay, it's over here. Share this screen over here. Share this. Okay, great. Okay, so revenue management. So first thing I need to do always is open my stats. The stats are key. Make data-driven decisions, not emotional-driven decisions. Because emotional-driven decisions have a lot of bias. Don't worry. Look, long-term wise, owners fight, owners complain, or whatever. The data says everything, I think. The data tells the truth. If you're empty, then just tell me, what do you want? Do you want to make less money this month than next month? Or do you want me to price this so that you average out to be the same? Because in the end, let's face it, this is very true. You're not running a shipping business. You're not running a plane business. You're not running a restaurant. You're running a business that essentially, in its given state, consumes no amount of money, right? An empty villa does not consume any amount of money. There's no operational cost to it. We're talking about operational costs. What is it? Your staff is already hired. Your whole thing is already there. Your pool pump, which consumes the most electricity, is running 24 hours a day anyway. So what are we talking about? We're talking about no loss for having essentially a sale, right? If you're having a restaurant, you have far more things to worry about. You can lose money in so many ways. You can lose money in food spoilage. You can lose money in But okay, all right. So let's jump into it. So
what I'm thinking actually, it can sometimes owner haven't decided whether long term or short term.
Right.
And if we can Like
Oh, then you got to get them over on the
here.
short term. Yeah. So
Yes.
that's a pre.
it's a ROI.
Yeah.
Bring the how much your
how much they
operational.
make it.
Yeah, how much.
You'll know if they sign on with you, right? If they don't sign on with you, then effectively they have something better to do. And if they do, ask them what? Ask them, hey, what is it that you know that I don't know? Like I was shocked with this whole room. This is like it was Maharaja, right? I was shocked that people paying 400 million for it. I was like, really? That's out of control expensive. But if it's real, then it's real. It's a new market. Maybe we should get in that market. Maybe we should go there, ask that guy where he found this, and do you have a friend? Because I'll sell you another villa over here for 400 million. There you go. Right? So there's always a way, I think, to complete a sale. There's always ways to not necessarily get too constricted by okay, what we offer. We can offer whatever we want. Right? If somebody has another budget of 400 million, we'll put them in Villa Bahagia. And we'll be done. We'll be, hey, boy, we found you one deal. You got 400 million, and then boom, right? You guys make your whole thing in just one shot, which is easy. So don't be blind to that too. Listen to the market. Okay, so this is my revenue management plan, and so I have like this routine that I generally go through. So I first set it up as a calendar. So I see basically the entire calendar. There's a filter that's active right now, which is on me. You can see there's a little check mark there. So I uncheck it, and you can see the total stuff around. My compatriot Chris is supposed to be looking after some other shit, but this sort of AWOL. So this is my shit. My shit is tight, clear, and arranged. This is exactly the way it should be, right? So every day I plan and I look at, let's say, different properties, and I give it an inspection. So we have this thing called it's called a leak patrol. So I'm just looking for where leaks are happening, detecting revenue leaks. So this is my plan. I walk around and I really just check for two things. I do a low side check. I see, is the revenue lower than what we expect? And I don't look at revenue because revenue is the fruit. I look at the tree. I look at the root causes. If the root causes are fucked up, then the revenue will always suffer. So I don't need to start looking at the revenue. I just look at this thing. I see, is the booking pace healthy? Now, I've noticed that 2 bookings per unit per week is healthy. So if it's like a 5-bedroom place, 10 bookings a week. No, if it's a 5 unit, like for the puja, which is
more than that. So like Maharaja, for example.
Maharaja should be 2 bookings a week, right? It's sold at 1 unit. But it's something that's sold like the gong, right?
Oh, the gong.
Like 20. They should get something like that. Should get about 40 bookings a week, right? So that gives me kind of like a quick heuristic to see if this place is doing well. What is this protecting? My ranking, right? If I'm getting less than 2 bookings a week, I know my ranking's fucked. I know that for some reason people are not saying it, right? And then I also look at my future occupancy. I want to see what my availability looks like. If I have too much availability and it's all empty, that's a lot of opportunity to turn those empty dates into fulfilled dates. So if I see too many empty dates up in the future, I get worried. I go, why are these empty? Right? Why am I not selling these dates? They're good, right? They're good dates. We should try to sell them. All right. This very rarely happens as a high side check. This means that it's actually booking too quickly. It means that we're selling too much of this stuff. And you don't want that either.
That's not good.
That's not good because it means you're too cheap. Yeah. I'll give you an example. So what happened was, this never happened in Bali, but it happened in Singapore. We took over one of my friend's homes in Singapore. This was before your time. So she gave us her house, we listed it, and then immediately it got 2 bookings a week, 4 bookings a week, then 8 bookings a week, and then up to 10 bookings a week. Too cheap, right? Because if you're filling it, it's like a glass. This is kind of like the way it is, right? The glass it's got some holes on it, and that represents essentially time expiring, right? So if your glass is overflowing, then what you could do is actually you could just pour a little bit less into it and ask for a higher price, right? Because your space is the same, that's your availability, but you can just ask for a higher price and the glass will fill. That way your revenue will optimize. Right. But if you have an empty glass at the end of the day because you didn't fill enough, then that's also a revenue loss too as well. Right. So if you're filling too quickly, it means you're selling too cheap, and you really need to think about that. So 4 bookings a unit per week is a heuristic, right? You're seeing 4 per unit per week. Like Chantik has how many rooms?
6.
6. Okay, so 6. So you should be getting like 24 bookings a week, right? 6 unique rooms, 4 bookings a week. Oh wait, it should be getting 12. Sorry, 12 is normal, but if it's getting 20, 24, then that's a little bit high, and it's time to think about how to increase the price. Yes. Okay. Ooh, this is complex. I won't go over this part, but this is related. No, you don't have to know this part. You just need to know that essentially, if you're getting, let's say, this number will change, right? Because we're still trying to figure it out. But let's say if you're getting less than 2 bookings a week, we really need to think about what we need to do to fix your condition. Okay, so let's take a look at my list. So we'll go over here. My partner relationship management, I'll just take a look at Villa Asmara. I know this is so exciting, right? It's amazing. So Villa Asmara, the first thing I look at is, of course, the booking pace. So I look at the booking pace and I see how often is it getting booked. So I put that in, Asmara, okay, Villa Asmara. All right, to Eggy, what do you think about the booking pace?
How many rooms is this?
This is a 3-bedroom, but it's 1 unit. We're selling 1 unit, yeah.
So this one is good, but this is not good.
No, it's actually okay. Today's the 19th, so within a week is from the 10th, right? So we're just looking from 10 to 19.
Got it.
How many bookings did we get?
From is this one?
10 to 19. So July 10th to the 19th? 3. Okay, so are we good or? We're good.
Yeah.
We're good. Okay, so we're good. We know right away that at least this doesn't have a ranking issue. The rank is good, it's getting booked, so that part is strong. There's no shit. Okay, all right, so we're projecting the ranking. Then the second part we go to is we take a look at yeah, we take a look up ahead of the calendar. And we take a look, today is the 19th, okay? So then I look up ahead, and what I'm looking for, oops. Sorry, I can't seem to, okay, maybe let's scroll. I have to wait. Come on. Okay. Come on. Let me. Okay. All right. So what do I see?
One night gap.
Yeah, there's the 1 night gap, which is too late because it's already halfway through the day, and the guests for tomorrow or today is checking in. There's one over here. Okay. So and then into August, I'm kind of empty. Right. Now let's look at the booking window. So. Let's take a look at the booking window. I don't have booking window for, let me see. Yes, okay, there's a booking window trend. I wonder if I can get, oh, yes, fuck yeah, I'm right. I love it. Okay, Asmara, of course there's no guest house named Asmara. Okay, that's my booking windows, right? So I'm seeing that the guests who booked for July 25th here, he booked all the way in November, okay? He booked in November for now. So his booking window was 243 days. He was making plans 240 days into the future.
Almost a year ago.
Yeah, almost a year ago, right? But not this guy. This guy booked 7 days ago. He booked 7 days. This is my fucking last minute discount. Yeah, so that's if you know if the last minute discount hit. So you get a last minute discount, somebody books. He booked 11 days before, right? Today he's checking in. This is Ying.
Change to the guest behavior. Then.
Exactly. So wait, I think this is Ying, or Ying. If it's right. So what's his name? Sorry, there's so much data here. It's kind of stupid, but Ying.
Okay, Ying.
How do I know it's Ying? Because
we will find out.
Because he's our checker for today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Ying booked a big block of dates last minute, 11 days ago for Villa Asmara, right? So I get generally my booking window. I just kind of look at it. I have 11 days before, 22 days, 90 days, 30 days. I get really good booking windows. This is great. So it means that people are really planning ahead. They're not just showing up like last minute. Like I'll show you something that's pretty last minute.
Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
What is the definition of a good booking window? Is like
further in the future is good booking window.
Okay, so
right?
this like
yeah. You know why? Because if you have a long booking window, sometimes this is good too. Actually, well, sorry. It's okay. Booking window, to be honest, I haven't figured out exactly what the balance is, right? But booking window generally, if it's longer, it tends to be better because that means that people are planning ahead and it gives you actually more runway too.
Okay.
Right.
So they're actually seeing our
Okay. So this is positive. It means that it's actually a more desirable property. Think of a 3-star Michelin restaurant. People book way in advance for that. Try to guess a property that has a short booking window. Shorter than this window.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, like what?
Villa?
Anything. Guess anything that would have a short booking window.
Oh, NH.
Okay, NH residence, right? Okay, let's see. Hey, how come I can't select it? What kind of devilish... Oh, here, NH residence and Villa Kanha. Okay, because NH is in both students. Okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you see?
Oh,
Yes!
yeah.
4 days, 25 days, 18 days, 28 days, 26 days, 34 days.
Yes.
That's a short booking window.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a short booking window. Why? Because it's fairly new, right? Let's go over here with Villa Olala. What do you think the booking window for that would look like?
Crazy, because I know it's new, but it's a lot of
See what it is. 7 days, 31 days, 25 days, 17 days, 27 to 21. This one booked way in advance. As you become more established, as you get more 3-star, 5-star, whatever reviews.
Because of the area.
No, it's because of the desirability. If you're more desirable, you have more reviews, people are more relaxed to make a decision that is further in the future.
reputation comes to reputation.
Yeah. If it's just like I'm just gonna roll up and see what I get, I don't care about the reviews. I'm just shaking the dice today as a random guess, like what I think Kakol. No.
No, actually no.
People are booking way in advance for Kakol. I'm
Yeah, because
shocked.
they are mature also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get a guest house 170 days before. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's couple,
Especially yesterday, they got
That blows my mind. Okay, all right, Rocker Ryan. Okay, probably spelled it wrong or something. All right, so why? Let me go back to the Villa Asmara, right? Villa Asmara. What I'm looking for is this. So I'm looking at the booking window, and then I'm trying to get an idea of how far into the future I need to plan, right? I'm knowing that people make these decisions 20, 30 days in advance. My runway here to August, let's say the runway to the next date, this is fairly good. This is about 20 days. It's about 11 days here plus 5. So it's about 16 days away. It's really a small gap. I'm not too keen to sell that because I'd have to sell that for super cheap. But I'm thinking about this right now. I'm thinking about people are making these decisions 20, 30 days in advance. There's the most last minute person was 11 days in advance. So here's my decision. I can keep these prices or I can discount these prices, right?
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can keep or discount. That's my decision point. Now, why would I keep it?
Just like sustain the booking.
Why would I keep the price where it is right now?
The booking pace is good.
It's already
Booking pace is good. Yep.
good.
Okay, back to here, right? Yeah.
Dia bukan tempat. Biasa like gini. Talk show. Kayak KMD.
Okay. Why would I keep these prices or even raise these prices? Because my booking pace is good. Because my booking pace is good, I have good traffic, so I can
There's a lot of
trade.
cross. Okay.
Yeah, I have good traffic. There's good availability. The runway is exceptionally long,
Yeah.
right? The booking window it has some short booking windows, 11 days, but okay. So I can trade. I may be able to trade the low price for a higher price, right? I might be able to trade. The location is desirable. I already know that for what happens in being in. So I can trade. I can trade this low price for a higher price. I can trade this for the other thing. So that's effectively my decision. Let's take a look at what the price is right now. And if you really want to be, okay, so I take a look at the risk.
Risky, actually.
You feel the risk, right?
Yes.
Okay, so everyone has a different risk appetite. You feel that? So probability again, all right? Probability. So this is what you need the owners to feel. I think Ibu Lily has been trained to feel this. She's calling me, telling me to lower her rates, right? So Ibu Lily at lot 5. So she called me the other day and she said, hey, look, can you lower my rates? I don't like how it's high and I don't want to be empty in September, October. That is the owner that has been brought in with the correct mindset, right? They feel what you felt. It's risky. It's only a month away. I haven't made a sale yet. What if like it's gonna be empty? Oh, I'm gonna have to.
Kind of owner who thought different.
Yeah.
She was
But
like
it-
Mike, right?
But it yes, but this is where market builders come in. You gotta plant a seed of doubt. It's actually not even a seed of doubt. He's correct. You only fail in this business if you don't sell your rooms. Nobody ever fails from selling their room too cheap. Because if you sell your room too cheap, you just get so many sales after a while, you can raise the price. But if you're in the other cycle, where you're in here, then
Just be patient.
you're sort of fucked. I'll tell you what the most fucked thing is too. Oh, also I forgot another probability. Pros is high season launch, right?
Oh, yes.
Everybody who launched in high season usually is high on crack, and yeah, that's always happens. It happened at Villa. We launched in high season. He was like, yo, I get $300, $400 for my property. I should get that every day. Well, no, exactly, right? You're talking about, okay, when you get that, that's like paying like a long span ticket, like to fly from San Francisco to London. Now we're talking about flying from London to like maybe Paris. You shouldn't get the same amount for the next stop as this stop, right?
So it's not always it's not always an exception even if you actually launch on the high season.
No, because you're thinking about long term, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to worry actually when you come into September when you onboard new partners. You gotta get the partners that you brought in during peak season are never gonna get used to the first transition, right? The first transition. Who Lily did? That's amazing. I was really happy. She's thinking really ahead. But they usually come in, they're like, yeah, my property is always worth $500. I knew it. It's because my property rocks. But then, okay, after the peak season's over, then they get stuck, and they get stuck, and they get stuck. Sometimes they get stuck for years. Sometimes they don't figure it out. They're like, there's this expression of the Chinese expression, this farmer sits in front of a tree. A rabbit comes, smashes his head against the tree, and he goes, I don't have to farm. Stupid rabbits will come and knock their heads on trees every day. So what does he do? He gives up farming, and he just sits around waiting for a rabbit. That's the kind of dilemma that you can have with, let's say, peak season launch. All right, so let's take a look and see at Villa Asmara what is happening. So we take a look at the rates, and then I look on Airbnb, and okay, all right. These rates go all the way to December. Okay, so the rate is 237, which is actually a little bit larger than the July rates. I just counted this because it was a gap night. I wonder. Okay, let's take a look. I wonder if I sold it. I think I did. Okay, what I'm looking for is this. What I'm looking for, this I priced as a gap night, right? So I priced this as a gap night to sell because it was a week. Now, if it sold, I won. If it didn't sell, I lost. And it did. It did sell. The nights in between got a booking, right? They got a booking and then they got extended. Yeah. So I was able to offload that. Yes, success. Awesome. So that's the effect of getting a discount. All right, now whether or not I should give a discount in August right now, I think, yeah. What do you feel? Do you feel you want to take that risk or no? No. Okay. You doesn't want to take the risk. What about you, maybe?
I mean, seeing from the booking window, I think we could actually try to raise the
raise up. Oh, he's gonna go up. Yeah, he's gonna go up. Okay. All right. So let's balls up.
I thought it's.
We're talking about these rates now in August, right?
Actually, because August is.
But who knows? Maybe I was wrong.
Yeah. Oh, you know how you know if you're wrong or not? Third piece of data. So let's talk about this. August 18th to September 1st, right? Now, if those are peak days, how do we know if they're peak days? We can go over here. Our heat map. Remember our heat map?
Oh, yes.
Yes. So we'll go look at our booking heat map, and we'll see if those dates are highly desirable. And you know what? It does not look like they're desirable yet. It does not look like desirable yet.
Just let it.
Does it change every day?
Of course it changes every day because we didn't have 31 yesterday. We didn't have 31 2 weeks ago. Maybe this will go all the way up to 45 by that time.
So we don't know yet.
We don't know yet, but we can see that at least today.
You will not, right?
Yeah, because we're making the price change today. If we're making the price change today, it doesn't look like that day is particularly desirable. The day before, yes, on the 22nd, but after that looks pretty flat. Okay, so then you gotta make a decision. Do you go up? Do you go down? Do you stay the same?
If it's no, like then just keep it the way.
Okay, just keep it. All right, keep it. And then how's your next decision? When do you come back to it? When does it become urgent enough for you to take another look at that? Right. So you can probably cruise for a week, and you'll still be within, let's say, let's see. You gotta estimate your booking window now. So you're looking at a booking window that's happening in, let's say, the 18th. So the 18th, your earliest booking window is 11 days away. So if you're optimistic, you can start another look on August 7th. Right. But in general, you were looking at 20 to 30 days away. So let's say on 18th, you should probably have another look at it within another 5 days or so, right?
So 5 days.
Less than a week.
Yeah, less than a week. So we decided that basically, all right, so this is where you make the note. Booking pace is healthy. Occupancy is good. Pricing for late August is at 237 USD. Those dates have no peak yet. Decision to keep pricing and revisit. Okay, done. All right, so that's kind of like it. And then you just maybe move it 5 days later, so 19. And check it again. That's it. That's a simulation of how everything that mixed up. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
All right, great. Yeah. No, but when you do this really quickly, then you just make these decisions super fast, right? Okay. Does this distill down the idea in a much more clear way than before?
From here actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. And in terms of revenue projections, I'll still have to do that. So that's a different discussion. But this is the universe around dynamic pricing. All right. For revenue projections.
I want to go to the toilet.
All right. You want to take a break? Take a break. Revenue projections have to do with this. I tend to do this. My two inputs in the system are, let's see. I'm going to ask you for a toggle here.
Stop.
Okay, this part's a little bit interesting, but wait, here, why don't you see Eggy? Yeah, we've been standing for quite a while. Quick request. Could I get a toggle on the area for guest house property type?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Because then I can give these guys revenue projection sort of tools. So Balan, guest house, Balan, Villa, guest house, and that's Villa.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So okay, I'll show you what we're doing next. Like that? Okay. So what do you see here?
Numbers.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
The graphic. I'm not graphic, but our revenue.
Yes, sir. Okay, you're working on Uluwatu now these days, right? So okay, this is the Uluwatu revenue map on Squad 2. So what we're looking at is essentially what the total revenue from all the properties in Uluwatu are from month to month, right? And we're looking back 13 months ago, and effectively that creates a certain shape, right? So that shape is, kind of like, sort of like that, right? Okay, so this begins here in July 2018, and then it ends here in July, 2019. Okay, the shape is important.
Yeah.
The shape is important. Now, if this shape represents the sum total of all the properties in the area, then what I would imagine is that if you bring on a new property and it does as well as the entire area, its graph should follow the same shape. Maybe a little bit shorter, of course it's going to be a bit shorter everywhere, but the shape should be the same. This graph is taken into account seasonality, this graph is taken into account all the different factors. It's averaged the highs and the lows together, so that you essentially get a blend now of what all the properties do.
Okay, yeah.
Alright, so then effectively this is related to projections, right? So what I'm explaining to Eggy is that essentially, this is actually perfect because I think this is very representative of a season. We're taking a look at Eggy's region, which is Squad 2, and we're taking a look specifically into Uluwatu. This is the performance of Uluwatu for the past year. You have from July 2018 to July 2019. And 41,000 in the last July, 47,000. Oh my god, it's going to probably do a little bit less. That's terrible. Okay. Uluwatu has not had that much growth. So anyhow, what's not important is actually what these numbers are. What is important is the stack of the lines relative to each other. Okay? So it's the relative height of each bar. Now why is that important? If, for example, you add a new property in Uluwatu, you can use this as a reference point. Okay? You can use this as, let's say, if in general, month to month, you should see, let's say, 41, 47, 36, 27, 18, 28, 21, 21, 24, whatever. You should follow these proportions, right? Now, all you need to then figure out is this. You need to figure out what's the closest equivalent property to your property, and then normalize the lowest revenue month to that number. Okay, I know that sounds kind of weird, but this is what I mean, right? If I then say, if I reduce this by, let's take an example. Let's say I want to predict. Oh, I got it. All right, I got it. You got a quick juicy one, right? Let's say I want to predict. I got another property. It's like a golf, right? It's a multi-room. How do I put it? How do I explain this? Okay, if you find another property in Uluwatu that resembles, let's say, it's got 20 rooms in it, it's a guest house, and it's about 5 minutes away from the beach, what would be the closest equivalent property to that? No, Uluwatu. Purikalapa, yes, okay. You have two points of reference, Purikalapa and the Gulf, alright? So then all you need to do is this. Just go over here and then check out, okay, what was the monthly achievement of, let's say, I want to go back to actually November. I'll go back 13 months, and then I will set that to be Purikalapa. Okay, Purikalapa. All right, let's see. What is the lowest month that I performed? Was 3,897, right? All right. 3,776. Okay, 3,768. And then maybe just for, I don't know, just to check the other one that's close to that, maybe I check the Gong to see what their low side revenue was, and that was 2,900. Yeah. Okay, so let me go back to the area revenue again. Yeah, gangsta. Okay, alright. And then let me go back 13 months. Okay, alright. What I'm going to do is this. This is a little bit of math, so I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, but I'll show you how this is done. So now I'm going to plot out, this is the new property, right? And what I'll do is, okay, I'm going to do a sample simulation. Wait, I should actually just do the one for Luna. I don't know why. Okay, well, I'll do too much work first.
But Luna is different, right? Because you're going to combine 2D less in the different...
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I'll just double it. Yeah, it won't be too hard.
Even different months?
Yeah? Okay.
Because the next one is still under construction, so we don't know. I mean, the construction will be finished in December, but we don't know.
Okay. That doesn't matter. I'll show you. Base area revenue and then our projection. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is should give me another column here. I need the month. Okay. Alright. I need you guys to read with me here. So let's say August 2018. Okay, what was the area revenue in August for Uluwatu?
Is this for Luna or Uluwatu?
This is for Uluwatu. This is Uluwatu, yeah.
40, this one?
Yeah, it was 47, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put in 47. And then for September?
36.
36, okay. And then for October? 27, okay. Then for November, okay, 18. And then for December, 28. Okay, and then for January, 21. Okay, February, 21. Okay, for March, okay, that's 24. Okay. And then for April, 33. Okay. And then for May, 38, okay, and then for June, 34, okay, and then for July, oh, we don't know yet, right? 38 so far, right? Okay. Hello there! Who's this? Hi, how you doing? Did I have an interview yet? Is 5 o'clock already? Okay, wait, hi there!
Almost.
Hi, are you here for an interview? Okay, just give me a second. Come back in 10 minutes, yeah? And then I'll be ready. Okay, thanks. You're not having an interview yet.
Yeah, it's already done.
Okay, please come back in about 10 minutes, yeah? I'm still in another meeting. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I just probably figuring out the way to. Hi. Okay, good. All right. So then July is 38. Okay. All right. This is what I mean by normalizing, right? We're gonna take this number here, right? And then we're gonna take this number 2892, and we're gonna normalize it on. This is 2.8. Okay. This is all in thousands of dollars. So
Sorry.
Yeah.
2.8 from again, sorry.
Okay, so 2.8 came from the gong, right? We looked at the revenue at the gong, which was, let's say we have a new property that's similar to the gong and Purikalapa. Okay. So we know that. Okay, we're comparing it to essentially the closest equivalent property that we have, right? So we're saying that essentially in the November. Okay. So we're essentially saying that this, right? We're going to say that the new property in November, and we're using November because November is the lowest revenue month. You can change it if you want, but let's just say on the lowest revenue month, the gong produced 2,892. Okay. So I can say that okay, this property should do the same as the gong, so I'll just give the gong yearly revenue. But I don't think that's very accurate. What is more accurate is this. So watch what I do. So I normalize it to here, and this is the projection. Let's call this new property. What do you call it? Give it the name of the new property. Just imagine it. Okay, Villa Bangun, yeah? Okay, so Villa Bangun, and the closest equivalent, the closest mirror properties are the gong and Purikalapa, right? Okay, another projection. And I'm going to say it's based on the, let's say, the gong as my equivalent. And then I'm going to make another projection here. And I'm going to say it's Purikalapa as my equivalent, okay? Okay, so if I use Purikalapa as my equivalent, then it's 3.7 if I use the gong. Okay, so then I'm going to find out each number. But how am I going to find out each number? I'm going to find out each number based on this. Open over here. Okay, I'm going to find my number based on a proportion. I'm going to take 2.8. I'm going to multiply it by 27. I'm going to divide it by 18, right? It's going to be 4.2. So that becomes my projection for October. Do you see what I just did?
Yes, so that means like 40.
Yeah, so it follows the same curve. It assumes that, I'm trying to figure out what the relative ratios are for everything, right? So it's a little bit of math, but effectively, let's say for example, you have, okay, let me give you a simple example, right? Let's say this is 10 and this is 5, right? So this is a 2-to-1 ratio. And if I have like a different ratio, let's say I figure out that I'm just 1, okay? Sorry. If I make this side 1, then how big should this stack be?
No. 5. It's 6. No, it's 5. But it's 5, right?
Okay, alright, say my B stack is 5, and then my A stack is twice as big, so it's 10, right? So then if say I make my B stack 1, how big should my A stack be? Yes, exactly, it should be 2, right? So it's 2. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm scaling. I'm scaling essentially the area revenue according to what the closest equivalent should be, and then that way when I fully plot this out, what I'll get is I'll get a month-by-month projection based on what the area average is, okay? All right, on the shape of the area. But it's now scaled down to the size of a property, right? Because this doesn't make any sense. You can't tell the person they're going to make 18,000. That's the entire thing. But I am using 18,000 as my base, and then I'm using the gong as where to scale it down to, and then I can start distributing it out. All right, so let's give this a shot. I'm going to use 2.8, and I'm going to figure out the September revenue. What number do I need to replace? 36, very good. Okay, so this gives me a 5.6. Okay, and then I need to figure out what the August revenue is. What do I replace it with? 47, very good. Okay, that gives me 7.3. Okay. Okay, and then December, what do I replace December with? 28. Okay, very good. 4.3. Okay, 4.3. And then January. I replace 28 with? Yes, okay, and I can use that twice because it's the same for February 2 as well. Okay, 3.2, and then so on and so forth. Right, let's finish it out. Okay, and then 24, very good. Okay, so 3.7. Okay, and then April 33, very good. Okay, and that gives me 5.1. Okay, and then the next one, 38. Okay, that gives me 5.9. And then the next one with 34. Okay, that gives me 5.2, and then the next one's 5.9 again. It's essentially the same. Okay, great. So now I have projection based on that. Okay, now you can do the same now for Putiklapa as well, right? So I won't do that, but let's just pretend we did that. Right? Then, okay, now you have an idea. So this is essentially what a new property called Villa Bangmun should get if you abut it against the Gong, and that would mean that it does the same as the market should do across all the different months. So that is on par market performance, which means that it's doing as well as the market should do. Now, here's the thing I'd like to check actually, and this is interesting. I like to actually check if Putikalapa or the Gong actually made this month to month, right? So the way we check, sorry, this thing is all ticked up, so I'm gonna have to go here. Okay, all right, that's fine because it's recording over there. So I'm actually curious how accurate this is compared to the actual Gong revenue. So I'm gonna set 13 months, and I'm gonna set this to the Gong. Okay, and then once I got the Gong, I can see. All right, so in the Gong in August, the actual reading was 10,000. My projection was 7.3.
So that's a hit.
That's a little bit over. Yeah, that's not a hit. That's kind of actual, like an actual Gong. All right.
That's gonna be
Different, right? Because it's actually okay. 10.5 means the Gong did better than the average of the area, right? Okay, so 10.5 is the actual Gong. Then in September it did 8.5. Okay, in October it did 4. So that's actually pretty close. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then November it did 2.8, of course, because that's where we, where we set everything. December it did 6.2. Okay, that's 6.2. It's good because we're underestimating. That's why it's good. Yeah. Yeah. And then January it is 4.4. Okay. We're also underestimating. February it is 5.4.
Yeah,
okay, 5.4. 5.4. And then March is 5.4. Okay, April is 7.4, 7.6. Wow, it's doing really good.
Yeah.
7.4, 7.4. Okay, and then 7.6 for May, and then June, 7.9. And this month is 6.7. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty interesting, right? So now I see the Gong is actually doing much better than the average of the area, right? The Gong is actually overperforming the area every single month. I'd be interested to see what Putikalapa is. Alright, so, okay, next stage. Okay, let's do the math for Putikalapa. This will be fun. Alright, so we do the math again, and we do 3.7 times, ooh.
This one? Which one do you want to see?
Okay, 18 divided by, oh wait, sorry, I do October, so I do 27 divided by, I should have just done this on Excel. I haven't been fucking done it right now, but I'm being a moron and do it this way. Okay, so it's 5.5. 5.5. And then the next one is, let's see if you follow this one. If I want to figure out what it is for September, what number do I use in the top? No, I use 36. 36. Okay, 36, and I get 7.4. Okay, and then August. What number should I use? 47? Okay. 47. 9.6. Oh, this is so fun, right? It's like doing accounting. Okay, and then for the next month, December? 28. And that's 5.7. Okay. And then the next one is January, so I can plug in 21. That's 4.3. Okay, next one you want.
It's the same.
Yes, 4.3. Excellent. All right, next one to Eggy. 24. 24, and what do I get? I get 4.9. Okay, and the next one, you won?
33.
Okay, 33. That's 6.7. Okay. And then to May, 38. Okay. So this is fun, right? You're kind of watching the entire, it's like developing film. And then, yeah, it's probably 6.7 again, it's very close, right? And then this is 7.8. Okay, alright. Now, let's look at the actual Puriklapa. Okay. Okay, we go over here, and then we go over to Puriklapa. Okay, alright. Alright, the actual Puriklapa was, let's see, starting from
July,
August was 10. Okay, 10.8. And then the next one was 6.2. Okay. Closer, yeah? Closer to the projection, okay. And then the next one was 4.5. Okay. And the next one is, okay, 3.8. Okay, the next one is 3.7, yeah. And the next one is 4.8. Okay. Next one is 4.6. Okay, next one is 5.6. Okay, next one is 7.1. Next one is 8.6. Next one is 5.7. And next one is 7.5. Okay, alright, great. Okay, so which one seems more close to the projection? Does it seem Puriklapa or?
I think,
oh my dear. I think it's far closer to Puriklapa, right?
Because of this.
Yes. So look at these differences. The difference between the projection on the Gulm and the actual Gulm was about 3, right? The projection on Puriklapa and the actual Puriklapa was 1. Here it's 1. It's less than 1, 0.1, 2, 0.5, 0.3, 0.7. It's very small differences. The differences here are far, far bigger, right? 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3. So this is probably your winner here.
Okay, so that's something that we can use for projection.
Yeah, that's how you do the projection. Or this is just a simulation. You can just ask me to do it. I'll come up with a formula. In the future, you just plug it in and then this whole thing pops out.
This is what you do as a recruiter.
Yeah, this is what I would do for you. Yeah, you don't have to do this yet.
Are you okay with your projections higher than the actual?
I'm always okay if the projections are lower than the actual ones, right? You want your projections always to be lower, right? If your projections are higher, then later on you're going to disappoint the person because you'll never hit it, right?
Okay.
You'll be like, what? You promised me 10,000, but I only got 7. But if you promise 7, you get 10. They're going to be...
The projections would be lower than...
They should be lower. They always should be lower, right? If you project 9.6 and the closest equivalent probably got 10, then you're doing great. You're like, wow, okay.
You don't want to do this.
Right. But what this means is that you're essentially assuming your property is going to do as good seasonally as every other property in the area. So you're saying that it's a race. In the race, we expect you to finish kind of like in the same sort of, pattern as all the other people in the race. But where you are relative, it depends on your capacity, right? So we try to find what your closest equivalent is, and then we tell you what it should be each month. Now, you can be higher each month if you're an extraordinary property. You could be higher all the time, and that's great. But we're just saying like what the baseline average should be. So then that way we'll know if you're an above average property or a below average property. Yeah? Okay. Does that make sense? It's kind of like just think of it this way. If August is twice as much as September, but that's for the entire area of Uluwatu, and the entire area made 5,000 in September and 10,000 in August, then your August, we look at, let's say your September, your closest September equivalent is the Gulm made 1,000, then we estimate September you should be at 1,000, but then we can predict how much your August should be.
Yep.
And then if your July was 4, then we can also predict relatively what that should be too, just by using the ratios.
Got it.
Okay. All right. And that's my way right now. This is the current way. There will probably be, as you can see, iterations. This is just part of how startups work.
But can we actually use this in?
Yes, you can.
long
Yeah.
term?
No.
Oh,
No, because the reason why is in every startup, as we get more experience dealing with it, we'll realize some things were right, some things were wrong. If you see that, like, let's say, for example, on my all hands, what I've done is I'm trying to create projections for the entire company. That's hard, right? That's like, how am I supposed to actually know that? And what do I do if, what if it doesn't work? Well, what I assume is it's not going to work. I assume that I'm only going to get better and better at it. I'm not going to assume that this will be good forever. So this is why I keep track. I keep track of what's my projection and what is essentially like this, right? What was my main projection based on, right? What was my assumption? What did I do? And what did I thought could improve? Okay, so then my June projection is based on this, right? So my June projection, I wrote down how I did it, and then what was my assumption? What was the projection based on? What we did operationally here to try to fix that, and then what can we do better? So that's why we came up with the SLA idea, right? And so each time you're doing this, hopefully you're reducing the error, right? You're making it so that maybe your first projections are 20% low. Maybe your next projections that you do are getting better. Eventually, I think we get almost perfect projections. Once that day happens, it's going to be golden. Because you can go up to any partner and say, I can predict within a 90% accuracy your revenue for the year, right? And it's not because you're using the same model. It's because you've learned, oh, this, like what Yvonne was doing. These parts I can keep, but these parts I can get better. And I can get better and get better. I can reduce that margin until maybe one day you can say, I will match it. I will pay you if I'm wrong. Because you're so cold, you know exactly how much it will work. And then you know what they'll say? Yes. They'll say yes. And then we better get it right, right? So any owner would never say no to your pitch anymore if you had that. You say, I'll get it right. If I'm wrong, I'll owe you the difference. They'll go, yeah. Okay. But this is the process how to get there. We have to get the projections right. We have to get the reality right. Okay. And that makes it the easiest thing to sell in the world.
I think at some point, like, I kind of want to just
try doing this
number. No, like just the number, so that way I can come up with something.
Yeah, sure. Just tell
like,
me what you need, and I can make the projections for you. I'll give this. Yeah, and okay, all right. I think Numi already has her thing. So that's there. The video is also there too. So if you need like a refresher, you can go back and watch it, and you can teach the next person this too as well.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Moron! Oh wait. I hope I didn't mute that.